Hi, this is Jordan Hill with Dirt to Sky Business Podcast, and I would like to thank SMI Real Estate and Clutch Industries for today's episode. I am so excited to be here today with Dr. K. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jordan?
I'm pretty good. I'm glad you came down here with me today. I've known you for years now, and I just love all that you do.
Oh, thanks.
And so it's an honor to have you here.
I'm so glad you invited me.
Yeah. So I would love for you to kind of tell the listeners, who you are and your journey up until you started Shattered Glass Leadership.
Yeah, so Dr. K is short for Dr. Kristine Medyanik, and I go by Dr. K because I'm a college professor and a leadership development facilitator in the community, and my last name's kind of hard. And so my students could never quite get a handle on it, and so Dr. K just sort of stuck. But in real life, I'm just Kristine. I'm a mom, I'm a dog mom, I own some acreage here, and just really, really love spending the time weeding and doing all the things that take care of the property, really learning to enjoy this space. Shattered Glass has been... It's in its fourth year at this point in time, so it really kicked off toward the end of the active pandemic, and it started because as a mom working remotely in an executive level role, I was struggle bussing. I was missing community, and I'm an introvert, so I know introverts made it further into the pandemic before we were like, must find humans.
But even you were feeling it.
Even I was like, if I remember how to people anymore. And so I just remember there was a point where I thought, as the remote work continues to evolve, women are going to need more opportunities to come together in community, feel some validation for how hard it is to be a working mom, how hard it is to navigate all the things in our professional roles and all the things at home, right? We've had some really huge shift in gender roles over the last 3 decades, 2 generations. It's having to happen. We're seeing a lot of research right now about the emotional labor is doing. And I don't want to dismiss the work dads do by any means, and also recognize that sometimes dads are that primary caretaker, but statistically it's more likely to be mom. And so we're struggling. Women were really struggling during the pandemic, and so there was really a necessity to come together and settle into who am I? In what direction am I going? And what is my leadership practice looking like right now? So I consider myself a leadership expert, but I always want to cap that with, that means that I screw up too. It just means that I really know when I do it, right? It means that I swing and miss all the time.
Right.
As a leader, right? At home, as a leader at work, as a leader in the community, there are hiccups because people are messy. Yeah. Right? People are hard, and we're bringing a whole lot of our own stories into the work that we're doing. So Shattered Glass started with that desire to do the retreats. Yeah. Love it. It's still my space of passion that I really, really love to spend a couple days with women, encouraging them, focusing in on that horizon because we get in the weeds really fast. But as Shattered Glass has evolved, I also now work with quite a few business teams within their organizations. And then I have a couple of programs that are year-long leadership development programs where we cover change management and conflict management and motivation strategies and decision-making biases and that big-time leadership content.
Wow. Okay, there are so many different things that I want to ask more about, but yeah, that's amazing. And by the way, such a great sign of a good leader is when you can talk about, I messed up here, or this was not it, and so props to you for that. It's such a sign of a very good leader, and it helps the rest of us go, we're not alone. Thank God.
Now, don't get me wrong, because I fall into what I call the ego zone too, right? None of us are immune from behaving in ego or behaving in overwhelm, right? And so really in our own practice, we need to be really aware of how I'm showing up before I start asking you to show up in your best self. I'm not showing up in my best self if I'm not what I call jumping the line in training sessions. then I can't expect a lot from my teams, right? And so when I talk about jumping the line, I talk about as a leader, as a person in a power position, in a power dynamic, it's my responsibility to shift gears. It's my responsibility to go, however I'm communicating is not hitting for you. So I need to shift. I don't get to look at you and be like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. You're now responsible for figuring out me as the leader. In the power position, it's my job. And that means I have to keep a lot of tools sharp all the time. Right? Communication strategies, those motivation strategies, understanding the perception of equity that sort of surfaces for people because of our own stories that we're bringing. We are navigating a lot of experiential differences, right? If you grew up with a lack of socioeconomic resources, your beliefs in your adulthood are going to be different than somebody that grew up with those things. How you work is going to be impacted by that. As a leader, I need to understand both sides of that story so that I can reach you.
Yeah, that isn't something that I see most of the time. I mean, really at all. And so that's amazing, because it very much, someone in a leadership role, a lot of times just the way that they operate and their working style, it is kind of, my way or the highway, which, but without them really being able to see things from someone else's point of view and having grace on how they were raised and everything that you were talking about, man, like how much more effective could they be as a leader?
Yeah, well, and I start with personality assessment all the time. Like it's always my starting place, because it allows us to understand different work styles, different ways that people typically communicate, different primary core values that sort of drive why we show up certain ways. And so I always call that the center ring. And so understanding that as a leader is really critical. But then again, race, culture, religion, socioeconomic status, gender experiences, all of those things influence, right? Personalities at the center, and then we've got experiences, generational experiences. Those experiences influence our beliefs influence our actions, and our actions impact our results. As a leader, we have to be tackling from the center ring, right? And so one of the things that I get pushback on in that personality space really frequently is like, well, this is who I am. Yeah, you don't have that luxury in today's workforce. We're navigating 5 generations. 6 will be coming soon. We have 4 personality types in my assessment, tons of other ones out there, anywhere from 4 to 9, 16 different typologies. And if I don't take the time to recognize that not everybody's looking at the world through my lens, I'm going to lose a lot of impact. And what shocks people, that 85% of people move into formal leadership roles without leadership training. 85%.
So
we figured out the way. We stumble through. Wouldn't it be nice if you could cut out the first year of dating?
I know. It's like, let me just get to the...
Let's just get to the good part. Let's get to the part where we can move into being a high-performing team. But, in psychology, we talk about the stages of team development, and you've got forming and then storming. And if you're not really effective in those leadership tools, that storming stage takes a lot longer. A lot longer. It's the crappy part of dating, right? Where you're like, I don't know if I want to meet that guy's parents. That's what it comes down to. We're not there yet. And what if we could cut that out in our organizational relationships? And just get to the good part.
Now, tell me a little bit more about your personality assessment. I mean, you developed it completely. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so 14-ish years ago, I was teaching in a college environment, and I was doing college success and professional development for students. And I was in an institution that we were working with fairly low budgets, and so I couldn't get an assessment that I could use for my students. And so when I developed it initially, I had incorporated the 4 favorite characters from the Big Bang Theory. So when it started, it was Sheldon, Raj, Wolowitz, and Howard. Leonard.
Yeah, Leonard.
And over time, I recognized that was probably going to be a copyright issue as I started navigating and using it in the workplace. And so now it's evolved into what I call ways to lead. And so I have nice way, fun way, right way, and my way. And each of those 4 types have an operating motto. And that motto helps leaders go, that's why they're tackling it this way. That's why we're having this moment of like resistance. That's why we're having this, I don't understand what you're asking of me moment, right? And if we can communicate better because we're actually tackling what is most important to that person, then they buy in faster, right? And so then over time, I've also developed it in a space where we can look at the motivation of each one. How do I keep each different person feeling secure and safe and excited, right? And so there's a lot of different ways to take that information and go, I can shift how I am doing this, because that's really all I'm in control of, right? Is what I'm doing is what I'm in control of.
Right.
Not what you're doing, not how you're perceiving me, not what you're hearing from me. I can control what I am putting into the world. And so if I can shift that more quickly, if I can pick up a cue from you that says, oh, person is feeling resistance because of this, because I'm violating their core value in some way, or I am pushing a parameter that they don't understand, right? My right way is one of the ones that I love giving a really good example for. They are my data history, why person.
Right.
They seek clarity and safety. And so
like a black and white
they're
type,
they're very much further in that black and white space. And so when they're resistant, it's because they don't feel safe. It feels too gray to them. Right. Yeah. Conversely, Funway loves the gray area. They're like, let's go play in the gray mud and throw it around a little bit and see what happens. And so that relationship itself can create a lot of tension. And what I find really fascinating is we have fairly consistent types very frequently show up in like CEO roles and CFO roles. And there's a natural tension that often exists there because of those different languages those 2 types need both of them. Yeah. Right? We really need both of them. I mean, the right ways keep us out of jail with the IRS. Right? And the fun way is like, let's try something. And they're like, well,
it'll
also,
be fine.
It won't be fine. It might not be fine. That was not a request. That is actually a solid rule, right? And so our right ways keep us safe. They keep us aligned. They keep us like in check. Right. There are rule followers through and through. But we also need that person that goes, actually, this isn't working anymore. Right. So let's break something. Right? Yeah. We need both.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be the next DVD player that nobody uses. Yeah. What if Sony had said, VHS, it'll be here forever?
Yeah, exactly. You always, I do see how the different roles and how they operate and what they're passionate about, and we need all 4 really. And so you go into with this tool and everything else that you've built. I know you have written books and workbooks and so many things that everybody needs to check out. But you go into these businesses and you do start with having them all take that assessment and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. So typically, the ideal scenario is to do either monthly or quarterly, and we start with the personality assessment because it helps us understand each other's communication needs better.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And then we can take that tool and move into overwhelm and ego and understanding how different team members sort of start to show up when they're facing overwhelm, how as a leader I can help them out of overwhelm more quickly. Right? How do I create psychological safety in my teams? Well, I do that by building trust. Yeah. But I can't trust you if you don't even kind of know me. Right? Yeah. So like, again, cracking that egg wide open and like cutting out the first 6 months of dating. Right? That's what it is like in a new job so frequently. Like, the interview was great. Yeah. The rest. Right? Yeah. Like, we definitely have that happen. Yeah. But how often do we have those people that are similar to the people at work that bother us, but at home we love that person? Right. Because we respect them and we see the value that they bring. So if I can help people in an organization focus on the value faster, which we are less likely to do with new people, strangers, people that have ruffled our feathers in the past. We quickly forgive those that we love. But the people that we were told we're forced to be with, we
especially
resist
if we don't
longer.
understand them or why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
And
so if we can peel back those onion layers faster and get to higher levels of like social and self-awareness, changes everything so fast. And then we can get into navigating better conflict. And then we can get into what I call agility in our leadership. The future of businesses is going to be heavily dependent on agility. Organizations do not want to hear this right now, but we need to get real comfortable with a lot more turnover in our organizations. 3 to 5 years is going to be best case scenario, keeping our Gen Zers and our late millennials.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, now...
Do we want to ruin people's lives? Do we want to bring the doom and the gloom today?
I don't know. I feel like, what you can teach people, though, it will give us all the best shot.
Dr.
You know
Doom
what I mean?
instead of Dr. K. The reality is, and the workforce did this, right? This is not Gen Z coming in and going, I'm going to shake things up. The workforce created some cultural norms that have resulted in behaviors that now we don't like, right? So now we have to figure it out. But we also know that people can get far larger raises by jumping ship and changing organizations than waiting for their raises internally. We don't have pensions. We don't have the things that encourage people to stay long term. We have to remember that Gen Z watched their parents with their small childlike brains in 2008, watched their parents navigate a major recession and watch organizations not be loyal to their families. So now Gen Z has a resistance to loyalty to organizations. Of course they do. We created that. They also are saying, I'm not going to work this hard to be that poor, because we now we're facing all kinds of economic challenges right now. And so they're just kind of going, I don't want to do it like that. I don't see why I'd want to do it like that. So the workforce, organizations need to get way better at recognizing we don't have a year and a half to get people independently functioning in their roles. You have 6 months. And assuming your culture is exceptional, you might keep those people. And this is gonna expand to Gen Z, or Gen X, and everybody's gonna start behaving like this. So we can't just say kids these days. We need to get comfortable with longevity in organizations is gonna shrink down to that 3 to 5 year mark, which means we need to be faster at getting people up to speed, onboarded, the tools that they need. But we don't do a good job of that right now.
Especially if the ones that are hiring and leading and running the show have not been trained as a leader.
I mean, 15% have. Yay! 15%.
Wow.
So we need to get better tools in people's toolkits. I mean, we know that the top 3 reasons for turnover are bad onboarding. So people don't understand their role. They don't understand what's expected. They don't understand where they have power, where they don't, what is within their circle of control and what's within their circle of influence. And then they get really disheartened by breaking unwritten rules that they don't, nobody told them. Right? Yeah. Has that ever happened to you where like you stepped in something and you didn't know?
It's the
right?
worst.
And it's kind of devastating. It's sometimes embarrassing. It's like all those things, right? So poor onboarding, poor leader support, and poor empowerment, right? So shattered glass leadership, it really came around in a space to like focus on those things in the retreats, but then the fellowship got built, and the fellowship addresses all of those pieces. Because we just need to keep our tools sharp.
I think that's such it's good to be aware of that big picture. Like, as a business owner, sometimes I just see what's right in front of me a day at a time, but the foresight like that is so important,
and if we can just get to the place where we know that we have 5 years, how do we make it a really kick butt 5 years?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If we want to have really exceptional culture, part of that is developing systems and processes that we know people aren't going to be with us.
Right. Yeah.
And shouldn't we have that anyway?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if something happens, if there's an emergency, if there's a setback in somebody's life, as a leader, as a business owner, don't you want to be able to treat them like a human and not panic over like, but what about the spreadsheet?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Don't we want to be able to stop and go, I've got this. You go take care of what you need to take care of. The team's got you.
Right.
Right? Don't we want that? But that requires agility. That requires processes.
Right.
And that requires that as a human and as a leader, I'm not operating in overwhelm all the time.
Yeah.
Because then it does feel catastrophic.
Right. Yeah. Yep. How's that camera doing? I was gonna, super good so far. I was going to, we could talk about how everybody is a leader at some level too, if you want. But that's also good. And I think a lot of business owners haven't heard any of what you're saying. I think a lot of them.
Well, yeah, everybody's got their heads down in the like crisis mode, right?
Yeah.
And they have since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everybody's
like,
I don't have time for an emergency.
But what happens
this is not an emergency, it's Christmas. Like it comes every year.
Yeah.
It feels like an emergency.
Yeah. So do these principles apply to somebody who, say, isn't in a leadership role, like for their job?
Yeah, so I think that it's really important to call out who is a leader and who isn't a leader.
Right.
And this is one of my big education moments that I feel like I'm just constantly harping on.
Yeah.
Do you breathe? Are you a human? And do you care about the influence and impact you're having? Well, then you are a leader, right? Like my 10-year-old has leadership moments. Do I have to help him recognize the way that he's talking to grandma versus the way that he talks to a friend has different impact, right? Yes. Yeah. So he has his leadership moment. Would I say that there are leadership opportunities that might not be the best for a 10-year-old? Absolutely. But should we be thinking about leadership strategies and training and philosophy and development of a good leadership practice? Everybody on our team?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
If you are in a formal leadership role, I think that it is irresponsible to not be actively developing in your leadership practice. I think if you're in a formal leadership role, you also need to be really intentional about helping those that are coming behind you in starting to consider and develop in their leadership practice. I mean, we're both moms, right?
Yeah.
Do we navigate our motherhood journey as like you're a child, bam, you're an adult? Or are we like, come along on this journey with me,
as you grow,
right?
and
as you go, as you learn, experiences with reflection build resilience. That is what leadership is.
Right.
So are we encouraging that with every person on our team? Probably not.
Right. Yeah.
Leadership development, professional development often is one of the first line items pulled out of organizational structures when, I don't know, like recessions hit and inflation hits. Pull that out because you kind of just go, I don't see the immediate ROI. You'll see it when you stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because turnover will increase, disengagement will increase. The other stat that just boggles my mind is that the cost of disengagement, I think we started calling it quiet quitting over the last couple of years. The cost of that is $550 billion a year.
Oh my gosh.
To the U.S. economy.
Wow. Yeah.
$550 billion a year.
So that's a problem.
As a small business, as a medium business,
that.
as a big giant business, what portion of that is your pie?
Right. Yeah. So it might seem, as a leader, the thought of, okay, I need to dive in. I need to learn these things about myself and my those that I'm leading. But that sounds like
it's work.
It will be some work, but man, it's just like choose your hard type situation.
It is. It's choose your hard.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, and we talk about it as type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like type 2 fun is such a fascinating concept because like it's one of those things that we do because of the end result, not because it's fun along the way.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
the end result is fun. Finishing
Yeah.
the race is fun. Getting the big heavy lift is fun. The
Right.
work fun,
Yeah.
hard.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can ignore it. You can choose not to invest in that space. You can choose not to engage in those activities. But how much of that $550 billion pie are you comfortable giving up?
Right. Nope. Mm-mm.
I mean, I'd like my whole
I'm
pie.
good.
Thank
I would
you.
like all the pie. Now, would you suggest to a business owner or a manager to implement any part of this during the onboarding process, or?
So, interestingly, just depending on the size of the business, really determines the likelihood of a really solid onboarding process versus like not.
Oh, okay.
Right? Onboarding should have a number of key elements. One of them is like the PTO and the general organizational policies. We should also be having some version of mentorship and onboarding that helps people get and be familiar with quickly those unwritten rules, because we really don't want to violate people's psychological contract.
Right.
Right? And those embarrassing moments, and I had no idea I was even walking through a minefield,
Yeah.
can become catastrophic moments for a person's story related to the business that they're in.
Yeah.
So we want to help with the minefields. They exist, right? Let's stop pretending that they don't. So those elements should also be there, but then the other part that we should be really intentional about is career pathing and that professional development. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Because now my job as a leader is not just to oversee your day-to-day work. It's also to help that evolution of you professionally.
Right.
But that means that I, as a leader, also have to do my own development so that I have the tools to offer those things.
Yeah.
So if I work with organizations that have anywhere from like 10 to 25 formal leaders, it's not uncommon to do leadership development for the leaders.
Okay.
As well as sessions for everybody else, because those sessions create common language, and common language also reinforces that psychological safety. So that when I say something like, I'm overwhelmed, everybody understands what that flag means in our organization. Because if we don't do some kind of calibration organizationally, your overwhelmed might be different than my overwhelmed.
Right.
And so we have to create language in our teams that help us understand what somebody's saying when they say,
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we don't spend the time doing that, and if only 3 people get the training,
Right.
then the other people are like, what is this new thing they're walking around talking about?
Right.
Whoa, there they go again with those weird words, right?
Yeah.
One of my workshops, I talk about like our elevator, right? And I talk about the floors that we have from our worst self, the basement self, to our penthouse self. And if a leader just walks around going, what floor are you on today?
Right.
And nobody's heard that, like they'll go, I think this office is on the 3rd floor.
Yeah. Right.
Or
Yeah.
I think we're on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Right? So language becomes important. So ideally, everybody is building common language and creating trust within their teams. What we do after we see a series of workshops around motivation and conflict and all of those things, then I like to survey the teams and I like to get back what's not going well. What do you need to be more successful, and what needs to get fixed in your organization? As a neutral third party, I can come in and then provide really solid recommendations to business leaders about like what we really need to focus on. And sometimes it's processes, right? Because we can't get to agreement if we can't even have processes, right? And sometimes it's a leader that needs to learn how to delegate better. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as a parent, have you taught your kids to sweep yet, Jordan?
Oh, it's just painful.
It's
painful, it's horrible.
Right?
Yeah. So we want to do it ourselves.
We just do it ourselves.
I can do it better. I can do it faster.
Right.
But what good does it do to
What
them?
good does it do for them? And also then it means we're constantly in this space of, I have to do that too.
I have to do everything around here.
No, you did that to yourself.
Exactly.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Oops.
Yeah. And so that
we do it in organizations
happens,
all the time. When we from within, when we pull in,
Mm-hmm.
like people are bringing all their own experiences, and it's really hard to move from an individual contributor to a leader.
Right.
Because a lot of times we don't have any tools to actually do that.
Right.
We don't know how to delegate. We don't know how to, and
Yeah.
I teach in the college arena, and it's one of the big challenges is the textbooks teach theory and style and concept, and then you go, that's great, what do I do with any of that? Right? I don't know how to turn that into an actual tool or a strategy. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I can't build a house with an idea. I need a hammer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So let's get you a toolkit.
An actual. Yeah. I think it's really amazing that because you do teach in the college world. And so you are seeing the generation, after generation that comes in and what they're dealing with and what they're motivated by. And that's just that's an incredible side of things that you can apply to Shattered Glass leadership because most people don't have that.
No, and Gen Z's got the capacity to be really, really cool. They have high levels of empathy. One of the challenges is that means that they also are navigating some higher levels of anxiety. They are absorbing more feelings because they have been taught to have their feelings. And the reality is they're still young and they have had hit after hit after hit after hit, economically, politically, all the things. It's been hit after hit after hit. So they need some time.
Right.
They need some time to move into their full maturity, the capacity to be incredible leaders.
Yeah.
But we, workforce now, also have a responsibility to come alongside them. And frankly, we have every single time a new generation has hit the workforce. Oh, kids these days.
Right. Yeah.
Kids these days. Right? Time, frankly, to sit back and go, kids these days.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's really great to hear, though. And I love that you are viewing them for who they are and all the positive things about them. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
What would you say or advise a leader or a business owner or manager or anybody in that space? What kinds of things, feedback, language should they look for if they're trying to decide if, I would benefit from this? Are there common things feedback they might get from employees that maybe their blinders are on and it's they need to crack it wide open and start diving in?
If they are in a leadership role and they find themselves gravitating to one type of person, they probably need to do a little bit of an evolution, right? Because we often are drawn to people that think and process information similar to us because it's less work, right? It's less work than to move a project forward.
Right.
So then if somebody is really different than us, then we immediately are whoa, coming in, man.
Yeah.
And so that feeling on a regular basis says that you as a leader need to do some work, right? If people are constantly coming in and going, I don't understand, I don't get it. And you're saying, I don't get what?
Right. Yeah.
And then you've just got this constant back and forth of everybody's confused. It means that we're using the wrong tool at the wrong time.
Right.
And so we need to get in and do some work ourselves before we can expect somebody else to do that work. So those are some things. If we're seeing high levels of turnover in our organization, we need our leaders to recalibrate and elevate.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that.
Right. Yeah.
We have to do a better job. And it's hard right now. We already talked about it. 5 generations in the workforce. Take those 5 generations times my 4 personalities.
Yeah.
That's 20 different variables all of a sudden that we're working with.
Wow.
Socioeconomic beliefs from our backgrounds. Add our family structures that we're currently navigating. Religious or cultural backgrounds or political belief systems, right?
Right.
That's a lot of different things for us as leaders to be navigating and going, how do I jump the line to communicate most effectively with this person? How do I figure out which parts of this story are really a story and are not actually helping our work space, right? How do I separate the narratives of some of our own personal stuff that we carry versus and we have to get the work done.
Yeah.
How do I do all of that?
Right.
Well, I have to keep my tools really sharp.
Yeah.
And that takes work.
It does. And I like that you said, though, that it is, as leaders, it's our responsibility. We can't shirk that.
Right.
You know, and
if you're in the power position.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. God, that comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. That's what you signed up for.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those warning signs, those little check engine signs are so good for anybody if anyone's listening in, it just like they know,
yep.
Oh, she's talking to me. But truly all of us should be proactively looking into this and learning this before.
And there's so many ways to do it, right? Like you could do a book club with your team to create common language if you're trying to keep it at the low dollar, right? You can learn as a leader to ask better questions, right? I've got 2 questions that I consistently am trying to pull out of my toolkit. One of them is, does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
It's a terrible question because we all liked recess as kids, right? Do you have any questions? We all liked recess. Nobody asks questions if you ask that right before recess.
Right.
Right? That's everybody knows you don't say anything.
Yeah.
But as adults, the reality is by me saying, does that make sense? Or do you have any questions? I'm putting the onus on you for your understanding. And you might not even have all the information that I did.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I even just learn to switch questions to what else can I clarify?
That's
right.
good.
Now I have taken the ownership that I left something out and I totally get I might have done that. Right.
Yeah.
So learning to ask better questions, approaching your teams with curiosity first, and having, I mean, I have a whole booklet on like curiosity-based questions for our leadership roles.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And that's a great way to go, okay, I'm going to go into this meeting with these 5 questions so that I don't ask, do you have questions? What do you need? And does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. That's so
Don't
great.
ask those 3 questions. Don't.
Yeah.
Drop them right now.
Okay.
I mean, I say that full well knowing that I'll walk into class tomorrow and ask if that makes sense.
Because you know what? Like you said, leadership is messy.
And habits are hard to break.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes
really are.
it's easier if everybody just agrees with me.
Right.
Right? And everybody goes, yeah, it makes sense. Even though I see the deer in the headlights.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, they said it makes sense. So it's no longer my
Moving
responsibility.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have
so
to
good.
start with curiosity, and you have to start from a place of, I have the responsibility here.
Right. Man, that's good. It's convicting, but it's also inspiring and motivating just to know that all of us as leaders and as business owners, like, we can level up, and it's going to be a choose your hard situation, but man, our lives and our employees' lives and our businesses are going to thrive if we choose to do that.
You know, and those solopreneurs are not excluded from that, right? I hear that so frequently. They're like, well, I don't need leadership development. I'm like, do you have customers? Wouldn't you like to have more impact with them?
Yeah.
Do you have clients? As a real estate agent, you have to work with clients. Do you have a periodic client type that you're like, oh, this one might not be a good fit for me?
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah. Time to start paying attention to those
Don't
things.
we have those types that you're like, this bothers me every single time I get faced with it.
Right.
From anyone.
Yeah.
Well, that's on you, man.
Yes, it is.
You have to change that narrative.
Right.
You have to change that mindset.
Yeah. That's so true, and it's so good.
And it's so
I love
hard
it.
sometimes.
Leadership is hard, you know, well, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing everything today.
Yeah.
And everybody where can we find you online?
All the places. The website is www.shatteredglassleaders.com, but you can find me on Shattered Glass Leadership on Facebook, Instagram, and obviously on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can find me in all the places.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today, and thank you everybody for tuning into Dirt to Sky Business.